Hi, and welcome to the Divinely Inspired Woman podcast. I am your host, Patricia Wald-Hopkins. I am a modern mystic, and I am here to share with you the beautiful wisdom and stories from women that desire to lead their lives inspired by the divine within them. The divinely inspired woman is devoted to walking the path of her soul's calling, tuning into the divinity within to navigate life with ease and grace through all circumstances. She cultivates beauty in her daily life. She is here to share the most authentic self each day through thick and thin. So I hope you'll enjoy our show today and that you will leave with an infusion of inspiration for your soul and for your day and living your life. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Divinely Inspired Woman. I'm your host, Patricia Wald-Hopkins, and I have a beautiful guest with me today, Eva Vennari. Welcome, Eva.
Thanks for having me, Patricia. It's so lovely to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you here. Well, let me tell everyone a little bit about you before we start diving into your divinely inspired life here. Okay. Yeah. So Eva, she is the founder and CEO of the Elevate Institute, which is a cutting edge practitioner firm that specializes in empowering driven professionals to take charge of their body and their health. You're also, Eva's also the creator of the Reveal Optimal Health Intensive. And this is a holistic process that lets you understand exactly what your body needs to heal and rejuvenate. So you can bring your talent to the world and feel great in your body. That is so important. So this is through science and common sense habit changes, shifting to a higher quality of life that far outlasts the time that you invest in it in the beginning. She's on a mission to dismantle the status quo of the sickness industry. Having spent most of her adult life suffering from over 30 plus different diagnosable symptoms and fighting for her sanity, she has decided to take matters into her own hands. So that's when everything shifted and her body went from being the enemy to being her best and most devoted ally and partner. So she now educates worldwide on how highly driven professionals can take charge of their well-being and thrive in their lives. Burnout does not need to be the end of vital life. That is beautiful work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I don't do it, life goes wrong. So once you get that spiritual tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? How this happened for you?
Yeah. That's it's a story that sounds initially heartbreaking, but if you're a person who's able to bring in intuition and foresight, this will sound almost normal. So when I met my now deceased ex-husband at the age of 20, I asked him, I says, hey, did you ever have a premonition that you're going to die in your 40s? And he goes, yes, I do. So cut to
Oh, wow.
40. Yeah, he was 45. And I had spent a lot of that time that we were together and apart after divorce, recovering from my own burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And he took the medical route. I took the, let's do this naturally. Let's figure this out by giving the body what it needs, that.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, it was a prescription drug, the whole right side of the sink was full of bottles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
For him, that was his reality. He said, if the doctor told me this is what I need to do, then this is what I need to do. And he kind of followed that without much rebuttal or questioning this. It was just, well, this is what I was told to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that other route and realized that for me, to give your body what it needs. And I was blessed with insomnia at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I put in a search string of all those 30 symptoms and came across this really long, strange article about all of these symptoms. And if you're having this experience, then you might have mineral imbalances and a toxic load that
Oh,
you
wow.
just simply don't know how to deal with. So it made sense to me. And I not only got started, but started to feel the difference between doing it so that I felt somewhat better and feeling all the way better. And so I thought, wow, I need to do this. I'd like to save money on it. I really wasn't planning on being a practitioner to tell you the truth. But I did that to save money. And I was telling him about it 2 weeks before he passed. And he's complaining to me, I've got hepatitis C, heart prolapse, I've got iron toxicity. And now the doctor says I've got diabetes. So I've got to
Oh
take
my
all
goodness.
these other new medications. And I said, hey, I just became a practitioner. Why don't you send me some of your hair? We'll analyze it. We'll get the minerals figured out for you. And he laughed out loud. No. Doctors have me. I'm fine. I'm on medication.
Oh, wow.
So 2 weeks later, our older daughter was there with him in the hospital. He was there to do another thing, something else. But she's calling me and she says, Mom, Dad's gone. Heart attack, 45 years old.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The premonition into reality is really quite interesting. But the hard truth was to look at his cupboards, cleaning out his place and finding all of those medications and seeing he just wasn't active in his own healthcare as much as he wanted or thought he was. So this was my mission. I went, everybody needs to know that they have an option. It really dawned on me. It just kind of, how things filter over.
Yeah.
And that was now my mission.
Wow. That's a powerful story. Yeah.
Story.
Yeah. And just letting everybody receive that message, however it wants to come to them, about the choices that you can make for yourself. Yeah. I do truly believe myself about, the mind over matter too. It's your mind can steer you in a direction, whether it be a good one or a painful one.
Yeah, thoughts are things, right?
Yeah. And so now you have this way of working with the minerals, and tell me a little bit about that, because I know that's like, it's very much 3D physical, things, but it feels magical to me.
It is. And I love this because the human body is so perfectly designed, and we have this innocent arrogance that we can choose what we want to solve in it first, second, and third. So I'm like, it's got its own innate, its own wisdom. And it really does, if we can tap into that programmed wisdom just by simply knowing what the body needs and then giving it what it needs, it really does go through the process of healing itself. It's amazing. Yeah, that's the magical part, is that we don't have to tell it what to do. We don't always have to. The amount of anxiety when I get phone calls from people who hear me on shows like this, or they've read my books or something, they've been exposed to my work. They'll call me up and I hear the anxiety in their voice. Got to get this taken care of, or I'm going to die. Well, it's a slower death for sure. Yeah, we want we want a, I loved it, so I can laugh at it. It's absolutely absurd, but we're slowly dying when we're not taking care of ourselves enough to heal. I can hear that in their voices. And as soon as we start to talk about give your body what it needs so it can, now you can let go of all of the strings that we have of controlling our body. What do I need? I need to heal my digestive system first, and then I need to get rid of these parasites in the second. And then, right? So it's that hunt and kill. And then I have to get rid of, I got to do a gallbladder cleanse, and I got to make sure I do this cleanse for the candida. And then that's already pre-designed in your body's to-do list. It knows what it needs to do. All we have to do is is hand it the minerals, that's the energy system it needs, to
Mm,
back out of it in its own time, in its own way, in its own path. And it's gentle. It's not going to, put us overboard. So anyways, yeah, that is magical to me. And when minerals, I think it's the stardust, isn't it?
yeah.
We're made of stardust.
Yeah, we're all made of stardust. Yep.
Rock. And we come from the earth, physically. And of course, we've got that spiritual part of us, the soul that is our experience. And the two together is the magic that gives us the ability to manifest our lives. And if you don't have a body that is foundationally firm in minerals, then it's working from a place of distortion. I call it the static of toxins. So the toxins get the body out of the way so that it can fully function and let the energy flow through it. That's the magic. That's where it all comes from.
I like that.
Yeah.
Gentle, right? I like that too. Gentle. It doesn't have to be like, sometimes there's the no pain, no gain thing, even when healing, right? Even in the healing industry, we have to do all these almost torturous things to get better.
We've been sold those bill of goods, haven't we? And you've got an inflamed gallbladder. We should probably remove it. A hammer always sees a nail, is what my dad says. A hammer.
Right.
Yeah.
And these minerals, I mean, this is something that, and I'm just listening here to see what questions want to come through. But when I think about them, or when I see them, I see these, like, it almost looks like like you said, sparkly, stardust.
Yeah.
And how do people know what they need? I mean, how does their body know? How do I guess the question is, how do people listen to their body? What have you found?
Well, it starts with, for me, I mentioned a hair test. And so you can, my hair is waist length. It's very long. And I cut a little bit of hair really close to the scalp. And I'm not bald back here. This is like, I got hair. So you cut a little bit of hair, and I'll show you my most recent hair test. And it just comes back with this mineral testing. You have calcium, magnesium, potassium, and so on. And so you get a result of how the body's processing everything you're eating, breathing, drinking, whatever sits against your skin and does not rinse out in the wash, you absorb. All of that comes in. There's no doorman that says, you're a toxin, you stay out. It's a big party, man. They all come in. Your body uses in priority minerals that it wants. It wants the preferred minerals first. But guess what? If those preferred minerals aren't in your food, they aren't in your water, they aren't in your air, then your body's going to choose what is readily available and free of charge, toxins. And so it will displace in your body and use toxins to hold as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what causes inflammation. That dreaded word causes a reduction in our ability to fight off infection. Our immune system drops. Energy systems get lower. Everything kind of gets bogged down, like we're walking through tar. It's really quite something. And the process back is just a matter of giving that body more of the minerals it needs. But the test tells you how much and what kind. Takes all the
test tells you.
Yeah.
The test tells you.
Yeah.
And then your body just starts to respond by feeling better.
Yeah. Yeah. I found out like the last 6 months, I've been feeling myself a little, oh, wow, what's going on here? Some recurrence of my old, I had fibromyalgia, and it's not fibromyalgia, but it's more like a bone pain and a joint. And looking at my test, I can now see why I'm getting rid of a ton of lead. It went from a very small, minute number and multiplied by 80. And that amount of toxic lead is currently running through my circulatory system, causing the whole thing to slow down. Now I know, and now I know what I need to do to help it. And it's not a chelation therapy, which I find to be very dangerous. But it's a natural way the body just automatically gets rid of it.
That's amazing.
I know. We don't have to tell it what to do. So I hear that energetic anxiety dropping when I'm on the phone with people talking about what we might do together. And wow, this sounds really easy. It is. It's so easy, but we just have to know how to tap in. That's all.
Yeah. The hair is the memory. The
Like tree
memory.
rings. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
tree rings. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a memory.
Yeah.
And, I'm not sure if I expressed to you, that I worked in an environmental toxicology for a really long time. I mean, that was my first, my career, before I started doing, wellness and other things and podcasts, things like that. But to have a tool like that, for people who live in environments that are toxic, they don't, the dust that you breathe, that lands on your skin, or, even the quality of your food, and to just be able to know that there's a way to bring the minerals, back in. So even though you might not be able to move away from some of it, at least you would have a way to maintain an equilibrium. Have you ever thought about that? Like how it would support people who live in environments that they can't necessarily change? And I'm going off on a little tangent here, but
No,
that's
it's
something
perfect.
that really pinged me.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I had that thought also. And I think it's a very innocent thought to go, well, in more pristine parts of the world, maybe people are less exposed to toxins, so therefore less compromised by them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in Peru, I was mentioning before we started, I take people to spiritual tours. And
Mm-hmm.
the one we did in June of 21 was to Peru. We went to the Sacred Valley. You would
Mm-hmm.
think that's a very pristine part of the world.
Yes. Spiritually, yes.
Spiritually, yes. Physically, the Amazon jungle wasn't such a good protector. She could have been the woman that I worked with there. She could have been my neighbor here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Was, not breathing the toxic air from here, but she might as well have been based on her test results. And the same is true no matter where a person is. So yes, it can definitely help. Like when those schools were compromised by lead poisoning in the water
Mm-hmm.
years ago, I'm like, oh, come see me, I can help. But
Yes,
yeah,
exactly where I'm
there was
going. Yeah.
no way to like get to them. But yeah, you can, as long as you displace the toxin load. It's kind of like a car accident, right? It's something that comes into your experience. You're going to absorb it. How do you get it out? Same thing is true with, mercury that comes in with a vaccine. Same thing is
Mm-hmm.
true with what's that called? Contaminations from uranium or anything else that's
Mm-hmm.
if you fill your body with the things that it needs that are not compromised, the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it automatically kicks out anything that doesn't belong, because it's like, hey, God, I'm full. I don't need you. Out you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that.
absolutely.
I just wanted to bring that information to our listeners, just because this does apply to all of us, wherever we are, even if you might be thinking that you are in generally good health. It's,
Oh,
you know,
the one I know, but for years people come to me with a myriad of symptoms that look like mine, like the impossible cases where everything's layered. And how do I know these are related? They all are. And sometimes I'll get somebody, oh, I only have allergies. Can you help me with allergies? I know it's a small thing for you, just allergies. We pull a hair test result and they can't believe how off they are. And I go to the gym every day. I eat, raw foods. Yeah, but did your mom?
mm-hmm.
Did you grow up that way?
Mm-hmm.
And have you done anything to make sure that you were taking the right minerals for your body? Because all of that history is accumulative.
Yeah.
So even if you don't feel anything, I say don't wait until it's too late.
Don't wait until that's a message. Don't wait.
Yeah, don't
Don't
wait.
wait. Be proactive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, do it now. I think everybody in the whole planet should reset their body with, a mineral balancing at some point, and then just maintain it with their supplements,
Yeah.
and lifestyle, of course. But gosh, yeah,
It'd be
simple.
a different world, wouldn't it?
It would be a whole different world. Yeah.
Like you said, the healthcare system would kind of be a different kind of system for sure.
Well, and I don't villainize doctors either. I believe that
No. Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of holistic practitioners who are like, oh, doctors are evil. No, not. They know medicine, and they
Mm-hmm.
know, if I were to sever a finger, I would go straight
Yeah.
to the doctor.
Oh, yeah.
Attach it.
We need them all.
Yeah. It's like I think we as a society, I think we put too much pressure on doctors to know it all.
Yeah.
And they feel it too. And they only have a certain amount of time with us.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect them to. So we need a different approach. We need more inclusivity. We need to understand our bodies better and learn how to listen to it more closely, more accurately, and stop trying to shut it up so much. We're always trying to tell it to be quiet. Oh, I've got a burp coming up. Oh, I got antacid. I need to grab that antacid and take it because I have too much acid. Really? Are you sure that that's the case? Because I could show you a whole other story. Yeah, usually if you're taking an antacid, then you're probably not making enough acid. That's a whole another conversation to have.
Yeah, it's the you take one thing and then it shifts to another thing and then it shifts to another thing, and before you know it, you really haven't resolved anything. So I hear you on that.
And worse off.
Worse off. Yeah. No, I definitely don't have anything against doctors either. They've helped me in many times, especially in the acute phase of things too. And so yeah, I would think of it as a system that is more integrated, and that way the doctors can focus on what they're really here to do, and we as humans can learn how to take care of our bodies a little bit more independently, or regularly too, I guess.
Regularly and with more honor.
With more honor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because without this, as people discard it, calling it a meat suit, without this meat suit.
It's always so harsh, isn't it?
Then the soul has nowhere to live. So it becomes a temple when you look at it.
It's a temple.
That way.
I like that better.
Yeah, the temple, it has a purpose to it. And there's so much complexity to our symptomatic experience. And it could be something that started spiritually. It could be something that we inherited from family, right? If mom didn't address her issue before she passed, guess who inherits it? The sensitive kid. Mm-hmm. And then we get a chance to now heal it for our legacy and for our ancestry. So there's all kinds of beautiful things that can be beautiful if we understand the process more for ourselves in those terms. How can we heal this for, ourselves and others? Yeah. And then there's the traumatic incidents of, like we talked about, of getting exposed to something. Even a car accident can be emotionally traumatic. And if we don't heal out those emotional wounds from our emotional body, it slows down parts of us and causes physical ailments.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like the injury of, I broke a leg in this car accident. Well, there's probably something else going on energetically with that leg now that you didn't have before the accident. So we got to clear it. Yeah, so many layers.
So many layers. What do you find? I mean, now that we're talking about the layers and things, and even if, people who are very spiritually inclined and follow their intuition, what is the biggest challenge that you've seen with them and getting them to tune into this way of being that
I think what I find that a journey to a feeling great again is kind of like the valley of death. When we were walking through, you have to get through it. And I think too many times I see where people stop, especially spiritually guided ones, they stop at a diagnosis and they get stuck on the label. Mm-hmm. And they hear the doctor's words, oftentimes, you have to take this medication now for the rest of your life, as it rings in your ear, or the rest of your life. And it's taken as fact. That's true for medical world. That's true for does not have to be true for you and me and anybody who's worked with me can say that. You can get off of medications, especially if it's for a chronic illness. And that includes things like hypothyroidism, high blood pressure, low blood pressure. I had low blood pressure.
Yeah.
Tinnitus, chronic headaches. I had migraine headaches daily, which is not the definition of a migraine, but
Right.
I had them nonetheless. We were there. IBS, the itchy skin, the heart palpitations, I mentioned fibromyalgia. I had all of those things. Cholesterol is just a symptom of ongoing chronic inflammation for the pancreas. So it's like there's all of these things that can be healed. And I say it's a two-pronged approach. Take the medication until you no longer have to, but do something so that you no longer have to.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the, well, now what next? So it can be I do this too. I stop at, oh man, that's a lot of options. I don't know which one I'm supposed to do first, second, or third. So this is that usually there's a little bit of angst that rises up when we feel like we don't have control. And so we give up.
Freeze.
So, yeah, freeze. Yeah, exactly. And this is the best place to say, who do I need to ask? And it's, you want to find somebody who has your value system, who has been where you are and is now where you want to be. And that will help.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I know I've had experience even recently where I got shingles.
No.
And really bad case on my head, like the back of my head. And they told me, well, you're going to have to be on gabapentin the rest of your life, probably. And I was like, oh no, oh no, I'm going to fit. So anyway, I totally get that. It's like, well, it's almost like, well, you could just do that and just maintain like living a life like in that state. And I was like, no,
because one medication usually will provide 2 or 3 side effects.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then next year you're back in front of that same doctor. Hey doc, I've got now these side effects or these symptoms, not correlating them to the side effects. Well, you need now these 3 new prescriptions. And that's how my ex ended up on 17 medications at the age of 45. So we really need to watch out for that. Because ongoing medication is not innocuous to the body. It has to go through the kidneys. So you're putting a very heavy load on the kidneys in more ways than you realize on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't just, you don't just pee it out.
Your whole body has to deal with it, process it. And I read the side effects from that. And I'm like, my kidney's not happy or not going to be very happy with this for very long. So I'm off of this. No, but the thing is too, though, that I wanted to point out with that is I could have just like you said, I could have just said, oh, they said that to me. And so it must be true because it's coming from the medical field. And while it's an option, it doesn't have to be true. I mean, there's other things that I could do so that I could get off of it and start to heal my body, not just treat the symptom of it, which is what really concerned me. So I really feel like it's what you're talking about is very empowering. So thank you, for sharing about this with us today. And is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners about this work that you do? And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about how they can get in touch with you next. But
well, I like to say that we learned everything we need to know about how to care for ourselves in kindergarten. Kind of reminds me of that book.
I was just going to say that.
No. We learned in kindergarten, like take your naps, rest between what you're doing, eat your regular meal, have your snacks. Take care of yourself, pay attention, play, get out and play and share. Like all of these things are good for us. And I think those reflect our ancient ways. So there's a whole body of work that by living intuitively and being guided intuitively, we think about how I do. I think about these things, how many ancient civilizations have gone by the way of the dodo bird without any documentation.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that through Akashic records and studies that we can reemerge and allow
Mm-hmm.
for reintegration of
Mm-hmm.
these wonderful ways that don't have to include disembodying heads. It's like
Right. You don't have to do that anymore.
we don't need to do that.
Can leave some parts behind.
Yeah. We could have a reverence for our body, like you said, it's a temple. Yeah, but there are some ancient ways that we can bring back, and
Yeah.
so
I love that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So as we come to a close for this episode, how can people connect with you, or what is it that you're offering right now that we can share with our listeners?
Well, I am an avid traveler. Love to travel, and I just mentioned ancient ways, and I have another complementary business called Illumination Tours.
Mm.
Yeah, I mentioned taking a group to Peru. Well, I went to Peru, but I took a group to Peru in 21. This year in 23, October, the end of October, we'll be taking a group to Belize and spending some time, in the Mayan temples on the full moon week, the end of the month, and exploring how to reconnect back with Gaia in a way, that maybe we haven't spent time enough doing, like really immersing ourselves in the Amazon and understanding where our food comes from, where our nutrition plays a part in our bodies, and how we can be more symbiotic, living in harmony with the planet.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's an easy website. It's illuminationtours.com.
Okay.
And
Illumination Tours. Okay, and I'll make sure I have that link for our listeners so they can find out more about that. And you were recently in the Voices of Gaia Summit, and you had a session on there that had a lot of wonderful information. So I'll make sure that I pop that link in there so people can also listen to your talk about. It was about the temple, right? The body is the temple.
How you are the magic.
Yes, it was beautiful. So
thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode with Eva. It was wonderful, and I really feel empowered by what she had to share. So I hope that you will too. And thank you again, Eva, for being here. It was a delight.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So everyone, stay divinely inspired and be empowered by your own intuition. So until next time, much love. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Divinely Inspired Woman. Again, I am your host, Patricia Wald-Hopkins, and I am so glad that you joined us here today. I hope you left with some soul food to inspire your daily life. And if you would like to learn more about my work, please check out my website, patriciawaldhopkins.com, and you can find out more about my divinely inspired practice and tools. So, thank you again. Have a beautiful day. Hi. I'm dropping in here with an announcement about a program, a new mentorship that I am offering. It's called Voices of Gaia, and it's about bringing your voice, your leadership, your life in alignment with Gaia's guidance. So if you feel called to learn more about this program, it's a beautiful, rich program where we dive into your essence, and if you so desire, we develop your business around it and really blossom into your whole lifestyle, this wisdom from Gaia that wants to be spoken through you. So if you feel called, reach out to me at patricia@patriciawaldhopkins.com. That's patricia@patriciawaldhopkins.com. There's no hyphen between Wald and Hopkins. And I would just love to hear from you and see if this is a good fit. So thank you for tuning in. Have a beautiful day.